Start off by taking the foam piece and the plastic canvas piece, line it up and trace around it. Cut it out. We're going to cut out the middle part as well. We're going to do the same thing on the felt. You might want to use a Sharpie for this part, just because it's going to be hard to see a pen on the felt. After you're done, set those pieces aside. You're going to iron your fabric piece so that it is wrinkle free. Then you're going to line up the felt, the plastic canvas, and then the one that you just ironed like this, and then go ahead and flip it over and just adjust it, center it. You are going to glue the fabric piece onto the felt piece. You don't need to glue the plastic piece to any of them. It's gonna show through the fabric if you do, and it's not gonna look as nice. So I just recommend gluing the cotton fabric onto the felt. It's gonna hold better this way. Although it might slide a little bit, you can use clips as I'm doing here to help keep them in place. And you're gonna want to glue the fabric on kind of tightly, just so it's like nice and stretched out. It doesn't have to be super duper tight to where it's gonna bend, but you do want it to have a nice stretch so that it looks nice and neat. It's okay if the fabric is ruffled on the back. You don't want it to be super bunched, but it will be kind of stacking on each other a little bit just because of the shape. If you need to cut a little bit of the corners where there's excess fabric like I did just here, feel free to do so. Make sure to check your work, make sure everything's nice and neat. Okay, this part can be a little tricky, so watch this first and then rewind it and watch it again if you need to. You're gonna make a cut in the center. Remember, this part is not really glued on yet, it's just the outside. You're gonna cut it, follow the curve of the base, and you're gonna cut it to the corners. Just right up until that corner. Don't go past it, or else it's gonna not look nice on the other side because you're gonna see the cut. So just right up to that corner, don't go past it. And like I said, follow the curve. So it should be like a little curve there, and then you're gonna go ahead and glue this part down. I find that gluing the bottom piece first makes it a lot more manageable to work with. There. Again, pull it so that it's nice and tight. Hold it there and make sure the glue is chill so that it's like nice and sturdy before you let go. Again, you can use clips if you need to. I didn't need to because I held it there until the glue dried. It's hot glue, so it will hold. Now for the top part, we're going to have to cut it in sections so that it folds neat. I did 3 pieces, so 2 cuts so far. I think I did end up cutting another piece, but I'm gonna go ahead and glue this middle part down first. Again, pull nice and tight. You want to get it to really kind of stretch it out and then hold it there to secure. Now for the corner pieces, this is where it gets kind of tricky. I'm putting my hot glue gun here, and then we're gonna pull it tight. There's gonna be a little fabric by the corners, so if you do need to cut just a little bit more because it's feeling too tight, go ahead and just make another small snip, which I did here, and then I'm pulling it tight and I'm holding it there. Add a clip just to hold it in place. We don't want this part slipping. Go ahead and do the same to the other side. I made another cut just because it was feeling kind of tight. So it was a little hard to pull. If it's hard to wrap the fabric, go ahead and make another cut on yours as well. If it's not, it's fine. Finish gluing this piece down, and then I will add another clip on this side just to hold it as well. Another quality check. Dust off anything else. It's nice and neat. The back is not so pretty. We'll call this the wrong side. And this is going to be the right side. Now you're going to iron the long cotton fabric piece that we're going to use to cover the band. The band has 2 sides, a softer side and then a scratchier side. The scratchy side needs to be faced down. Go ahead and line that up, and then use clips if you need to. Get everything lined up here. You can choose to do your seam wherever you want. I chose mine to be closer to one edge rather than in the middle. Now go ahead and flip it over, and we're going to iron that interfacing material that's underneath the fabric. Now that the interfacing material is adhered to the fabric, it shouldn't move as much. I'm going to go ahead and flip it back over and start gluing my seams down. For the edges, I just kind of tucked the fabric and glued it down. For the edges, I just folded it in before I finished by folding the top part down. I also did end up cutting a little bit of extra fabric from the corners so that it would tuck nicely. You want it to look nice and neat and not bulky. I just cut off a little bit of the extra from the corner there, just so it's not bulky. Then I went ahead and glued that down. Don't forget to pull nice and tight so that it's nice and smooth for you. I didn't shoot the glue all the way up the padding. I only did it to where the seams were. This part is optional, but if you have a lot of fraying, I recommend using a little bit of heat from a flame to kind of get rid of those extra little stragglers. This is the finished band. This is the inside part, so it doesn't have to be super pretty, but it shouldn't be super bumpy either because it's gonna leave marks on your head. And here I'm just ironing that outside again just to get it nice and smooth. Now you're gonna grab your bunch of moire and try to get it as nice and even as possible. We're gonna measure 3.5 inches or so and go ahead and cut. You don't want to make them super long or else you're not going to have enough to go around your whole hat. So about 3.5 inches would be good. I'm using Eileen's fabric glue here. I find that it works really well and it dries really fast. You do want to be in a well ventilated area though, because it does have a pretty strong odor. You're gonna go ahead and just grab bunches of that moire and you're gonna lay it down, just little sections by little section. You are gonna be very generous with the glue here, and then we're gonna go in and do another layer of glue on top once we get all the moire covering the whole headpiece. But for now, just do section by section and squeeze a very generous amount of glue. Make sure not to go over the edge so that it's not seeping through the front because you don't want it to look ugly. Now that I have it all laid out, I'm going to go ahead and cut some stragglers that are kind of a little bit too long on the bottom, making sure to avoid the glue. Then I'm going to squeeze a lot more glue still on top of the layer of finished more there. Go ahead and just keep squeezing the glue onto the more. You're gonna need a lot. This part is very tedious, very annoying, but it has to be done to make sure all of them are sticking on nice and neat. So with a gloved finger, you can use a paintbrush if you want to. I just used whatever I had on hand, and I'm just gonna squish that glue kind of around and kind of paint it so that it's a little bit flatter to the hat. And yeah, some of them are gonna come off. You're just gonna lay them back down. You want to be very patient and just take your time on this part so that all your straw doesn't move. Okay, so right after I'm done brushing the glue around, we're gonna go ahead and put the band on. So very important part, you don't want to add the glue to the ends of the more right here. You want to just do that part on the inside where it's inside your shape, okay? If you put it on the ends of the more on the outside of the shape, it's gonna look really funny and you're not gonna be able to have your shape. The straw needs to be just attached on the inside. Go ahead and get it centered as possible. Nice and steady. Then you're gonna just slowly apply a little bit of pressure, making sure everything is even. I went ahead and used some clips to hold it in place and then wipe a little excess glue that I had coming out of the joint. Now we're gonna go ahead and put that foam piece that you first cut out, and this is gonna be the back part of the hat that's gonna be touching your head. So we're gonna line that up nice and neat as well with the glue still wet. You don't have to wait for the other parts to dry. I'm doing this right after I put the glue on. So I'm lining this up nice and neat. I'm gonna add glue onto the foam. Again, be pretty generous, but not a lot so that it won't like seep out and look ridiculous. Okay, so you're gonna go ahead and line that up, and I'm gonna readjust my clip to clip them all together. Just apply a little bit of pressure, get everything in place. After you have it nice secured, go ahead and flip it over just to give it one more good look to make sure nothing is out of place. And then you're gonna want to put a book or something flat and heavy just to keep the foam from curling up, and have it sit and set for a few hours. Now it's later at night. Now I've let this set for a few hours. I'm gonna go ahead and take a good look at it. And the glue is pretty dry, but it's not all the way cured yet. So I'm still gonna be quite careful. Take that little rectangle piece. We're gonna use that as a guide for cutting our mote. So I put it up against the edge of the hat and now I'm cutting the excess. Be careful not to cut your band here. So cutting around, and it's just gonna be the edge of the hat and using that as a guide all the way around. It's about an inch wide. So we're gonna go ahead and cut just like this. Now I'm just giving it a nice quick little trim, making sure nothing is straggly. It looks nice and clean. Very nice. Now a quick cleanup since I put paper down. And now moving on to gluing on the shells. I'm using a fabric chalk pencil. You can use whatever you have on hand. You just don't want it to show through if you're using a marker or anything because it's gonna look funny. So the chalk pencils, they erase and they're very light. So I recommend using this if you have one on hand. Again, going in with the Eileen's fabric glue. I like this glue a lot because it dries pretty fast. But again, make sure you're in a pretty well ventilated area. I just have my window behind me that's wide open because the smell is kind of strong. Go ahead and get your blue shells. We're going to go ahead and do the perimeter with our blue shells first. So I do section by section, just laying on one shell at a time. Take your time and make sure they're nice and aligned to the edge of the headpiece. Okay, so after doing the perimeter of the outside and the top part of that little arc there, we're gonna go ahead and do the wave part before we finish that last bottom bit with the blue shells. So the white dove shells are gonna be what we're gonna do our waves with. You can take apart the whole lay and just glue it piece by piece. I decided to leave these two parts on the string just because it was easier for me that way. If it's easier for you guys to just glue them on shell by shell, be my guest. When you're lining, I do want to say that it looks way nicer if the shells are going the same way. Not necessarily the opening, but the point of the shells should be pointing the same way. You'll see what I mean. Do not use hot glue gun for this part, for gluing on any of the shells, because they're gonna pop off. So get a nice sticky glue like the Eileen's fabric glue or E6000 will probably work just as well, but you're gonna want to keep pushing it back into the shape until it becomes a little bit more tacky and won't move on its own. So here I am just constantly kind of pushing it back into that pattern because it does move a little bit before it's fully dry, but it's only going to be a few minutes. Now that I put that wave in, I'm going to go ahead and finish that bottom part with the blue shells. And I'm going past the white shells, as you can see, because it does kind of stretch up to above where the opening is, which is why I'm having you wait to put that last one in. Okay, now we're going back in with the white shells, and I'm doing shell by shell here, making sure the points are going the same way. Now, using a very generous amount of glue, I'm making a little pool of glue inside the shape, and I'm going to put my shells inside. When I'm filling, I don't really care too much about the direction of the shells. It should look very natural. And we're going to go ahead and just fill that shape in. I did make another row underneath, like this. So you should have 2 rows at the bottom there of the wave, and we're going to do the same thing to the other side. If it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit, but with the cutout, you should be able to fit about 2 rows there. Again, squeeze out a pool of glue. Be very generous here. Now that your waves are done, we're going to go ahead and do the top design. I went ahead and just drew a squiggly design that I liked before I started gluing. So you guys can do that too. If you want to freestyle, that's fine as well. But I went ahead and did that just so I could see the layout and make sure that I like where everything is placed. Do some squigglies, do some loops. I glued this shell by shell just because it was easier to manipulate with the loops that I put in. Again, make sure that the shells are going in the right direction so it looks like it's still strung up. Just a little bit more gluing and then we're gonna be all finished. Okay, this is the final design. You're gonna want to sew on the velcros to where it fits your head best, and then that's gonna be it. You can hand sew the velcros in. I don't recommend using glue because it's just not strong enough, so hand sew if you don't know how to use a sewing machine. Okay, bye. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in class.